Hey guys, Chef Nunu here. Just want to bring you a maybe not so quick video about a build that I think has been baiting everybody in Path of Exile 2 right now for lightning crossbow. So quickly, here's some proof that I can actually deal damage with lightning crossbow. So this is my dead hardcore solo self-found invoker from last patch, with damage much worse than a dead I would ever get, mediocre solo self-found gear, and here's the kicker, he has no gloves on. So the build I'm about to show you would take a steaming shit on this build in DPS. I just want to make some things clear as the build I recommend you use appears on screen. I do a little scroll over for you. This is not a hit piece on Ben, and I think the only reason this build is so unoptimized is because he was just kind of vibe playing it until he swapped over to Lightning Spear. I don't think he really spent a ton of time min-maxing it, so I'm just kind of like finishing it off for you guys as my build. The biggest disclaimer of the entire build here. Fresh Clip and Emergency Reload are bugged, but it's only visual. You absolutely do get an enormous amount of damage from utilizing both of these, as you can see in the clips that I've been showing. Why the numbers aren't perfect is a topic that I'll cover later, but even though I've only shown a few clips, I did a lot of testing to confirm it works. The same goes for Emergency Reload, as you can see here. Essentially what this means is that any build not taking Fresh Clip is ridiculous bait, and since you're taking Fresh Clip, then Endless Munitions is also horrible to take. Any Deadeye crossbow build you see taking this Ascendancy point is doing it very wrong. What this means is that a massive restructuring of the tree needs to happen with much heavier priority on attack speed thanks to the Fresh Clip math, and on top of that, Ben's build is obscenely heavily invested into penetration. You only need one cluster and 4 to 5 jewels with 10% lightning pen to fully strip down to negative 50% on Arbiter by replacing the useless flash grenade with conductivity. Alright, let's do a quick comparison of the original to my build. So for the pros, Ben's build has about 10% increased movement speed on kill over my build. And cons. It's got way too many points spent traveling to collect lightning pen, and it's massively overinvested in lightning pen in general. No curse shown anywhere on the build guide, no voltaic mark shown anywhere on the build guide, underinvested in point efficient defenses resulting in the revised build having about 40% more effective health, lower shock magnitude because the weapon set points are poorly allocated, and again, no voltaic mark. He takes Endless Munitions. Endless Munitions is horrible for lightning crossbow, both in gameplay feel and outright damage, and substantially lower damage than it ever should have, and the revised build has about 100% to 200% more damage than the original. Yes, you can possibly see 3 times damage increases over the old build. So now that we're done with the general overview, let's go ahead and talk about the specifics of the PoE and give you some insight into how this build works. I won't go too in-depth because I'll be doing more of that in my Turbo Autistic Massive Lightning Crossbow guide that I've spent about 80 hours on at this point, but it'll at the very least be a little higher level. Endless Munitions is the biggest troll pick on this tree, and it literally reduces your damage by about 30% because of how extra projectiles works with shock burst rounds. You have a hard cap on projectiles per second based on your fire rate, so if you only shoot 1 projectile normally and you double it to 2, the game automatically reduces your attack speed by 50% to keep you capped at the set limit on projectiles per second. Anyways, it's really bad because with Endless Munitions you only consume a bolt every other projectile, and Fresh Clip gives 1% more damage per bolt fired in a 6-second period. Cutting the bolts fired in half cuts our Fresh Clip damage in half, and that support is the single greatest source of damage in the game for our build other than shock. Taking Eagle Eyes means that we can stand at any range and get full accuracy effect, meaning you have close to no accuracy requirement on the tree or on your gear. This also means that Far Shot is extremely good because you're getting full damage at any range anyways. I've also swapped the close damage nodes on the tree to the far ones over here as well. Next is Pen on the tree. If you build the tree in this way, then Leopolds are straight up just worse than rare gloves. The reason these gloves can be incredible is Emerald Jewels and resistance reduction. Long story short, if you curse and apply exposure from your shock weapon swap, you only need 1 pen cluster and 4 or 5 10% penetration emerald jewels for max effect from these gloves. Don't waste your point on pen, it's really bad. So Voltaic Mark is the new sleeper tech I'm leaking for you guys here. Voltaic Mark with this new mark cluster is a crazy amount of shock effect, and there's almost nothing on the tree that gives this much damage value. It's really huge. Trust me guys, just try and take it. Crushing Wave you don't have to take, but I do take it because our attack rate is high enough to have near perma uptime on it. Unbound Forces is still pretty solid, but on an even more optimized build, which is not using these gloves for the uber endgame, build coming out soon, it becomes bad to take due to pathing. That's another video though. Up north, you can see we're taking a bit of a trip to grab attack speed and a ton of evasion energy shield nodes. Honestly, not sure why he didn't opt for these and instead grabbed the shitty dex evasion nodes around acrobatics, but it shares a travel point cost with these super high value attack speed nodes as well. They're both very high value per point. Alright, that's pretty much it. Here's the end of video notes that I promised. So, super endgame drops a hybrid body armor for a full ES body armor, and you can opt into CI once your damage is high enough to drop some like lower value damage nodes. Leopold's as a pair of gloves can be thought of as giving around 60% more damage to a build at the cost of a mod on your jewels, assuming you're comparing it to an empty glove slot. The way you extract a full 60% from this item is by ensuring that the 10% you get from the inherent pen roll is the final 10% required to give you negative 50%. Excess pen past this point essentially wastes the value on this pair of gloves and makes it worse. Basically, just do the math for your pen and you'll get full damage. I did include lightning rod in my numbers, trust me, I didn't forget it, that is in the PoE. The reason I got 10% as the number for lightning rod is that is the amount of damage that I'd be getting with this weapon equipped. The way lightning rod works is that if you have a lightning roll on your weapon, your range is going to be a lot bigger in your final damage, which means that lightning rod gives more damage. So in a way, I'm actually enhancing the benefit of lightning rod by using this weapon that my invoker had, which has a lightning roll on it. If I was using just a high PDPS crossbow, through the conversion to lightning, my range would actually be pretty small, even though the fizz damage on crossbows does have a big range. Basically what I'm trying to say is if you have the ideal crossbow that has 3 fizz rolls on it, lightning rod is even worse than it is in this situation. This is my testing methodology for Fresh Clip. I used an Amazon with penetrate and a crossbow with low physical damage and a high accuracy roll, so the range between max and min hit is as small as possible to minimize variance in trials. I logged the damage with full 22 bolt strings and compared them against each other dozens of times to create a large sample size in case of crit and range variance interference. Damage increases were consistent within margin of error, and Fresh Clip does actually work. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, hop over to my stream on twitch.tv/chefnunu, or ask in the comments and I'll get back to you when I can. See ya.